Hello and welcome to the Churros y Tácticas Podcast. This is your host, Kiyan, Sobhani, joined by my co-host, Diego Lorijn, with the shades on. The sun is blasting through his window. He doesn't wear those shades for no reason. It's not to look cool. Looking cool is just a byproduct of the necessary action of wearing shades because the sun literally blasts through his window. Because some people have asked, why is Diego wearing shades indoor? Well, there's a reason why. The sun directly blasts at him. While we're recording, it's currently almost 7 p.m. in Spain. It's that time of day where the sun is blasting, and we are just going to hit record and talk about stuff. We're not entirely sure what we're talking about yet. We maybe have some rough idea internally, but we haven't spoken a week. We haven't gone over talking points before hitting record, so we're just going to see where this goes. Diego, how you doing, man? A weekend off, international break? Are you bored? Are you taking the time to recuperate? What's going on?
Yeah, trying to figure out life, my friend. I don't know if I'm going through like a bit of a midlife crisis, Kiyan. Although this has been sort of bubbling under the water, it's sort of been, kind of ruffling in the background. This like whole, but I don't know, dude. I have this a lot. I have it a lot. Like, what are we today? Tuesday, huh? I gotta keep it a little bit filtered. But I'm very grateful for the work I have. Let me start out by saying that. However, when talking with like friends, people, colleagues, and they tell me that they have been in the same job for whether it be 10, 15, 20 years, I'm like, damn, like 2 decades, 10 years. I just can't do that. I can't do it. I get itchy. I just get, I gotta keep moving. And I don't know. I was trying to figure it out over the weekend with the friend. We were talking about this topic, and it's kind of trying to psychoanalyze, if you, or just kind of reflect on why I have this constant need to keep moving, keep improving, keep innovating, keep creating, keep doing something that stimulates me. And that often involves a change in job or a change in location. And I came to realize like that's kind of how I grew up. I've lived in 6 different countries. I've lived in over 10 cities, like 11 cities. I've worked at a handful, over 5, 6, 7 different companies in different industries. I've reinvented myself, and I feel like, it's like, and that's why I say I gotta be careful what I'm saying on this pod.
You can
don't need the boss to listen and say I come to work tomorrow and say I'm saying, you know what, you don't need to come if you don't have to. But I'm like, I have a need to. Sorry, you were gonna say.
I said you can open it up, but you don't have to close it until the patron edition, and you can get your patrons to submit some ideas. You're speaking my language, though.
Yeah.
I love discomfort. I hate comfort. I need change constantly. I need the sleepless nights of traveling. I need the adrenaline rush of just not being settled. I need that. So the change of scenery, all that stuff, you got to figure that out, I guess, but what that exactly is. But I think you should just move to Madrid.
I've lived there already for 4 years. So it'd be like whether I would want to go back.
You didn't have churros back then.
Excuse me. I definitely didn't have churros. And that's another thing. I mean, you bring up a good point. You don't like to be settled. Once we settle down and have families and have more responsibilities than just looking at our own, you say, mirarte el ombligo, like look at your own belly button. And, obviously other people come into play. There's the kids, the wife, the family. So, I mean, in that sense, I enjoy being settled here. There's really no place I'd rather be. But I want to stay true to my nature of, as you said as well, I think you have it too. It's just like just to keep innovating and keep moving forward and feeling that you're feeling stimulated, feeling fulfilled, feeling that you are maximizing your skill sets and potential. And for that, I just you know, and Churros has been just a fantastic platform. And if anything, I should thank you, Kiyan, for bringing this platform to me some 5-6 years ago, because it allows me to really keep pushing the boundaries and tick off my creative boxes, right? And I have a whole past in the music industry, working in the field, whether it be on a creative aspect initially as an aspiring rapper, producer, to then working on the business end, which eventually drove me away because I just didn't like that at all. It had nothing to do with the whole, what an artist is being about. So
that's one thing that most entrepreneurs fall in that trap, is that they
right.
get into it to do what they love doing, but then there's this whole other world of paperwork, business, understanding financials, legal stuff that is not the fun stuff. And I think that's where slowly it fades. That's why, like, the whole follow your passion thing is a very dangerous ideology, in my opinion, because that's not necessarily where the money is, right? And I think people really get lost. And that's kind of like why this whole system can be a little bit tricky to escape, is that you get stuck in a certain grind, and then escaping it is hard to do because you have like 1 hour left in the day where your brain is working. And in that 1 hour, you have to decide, okay, do I clean? Do I work out? Or do I put some half-assed mental energy towards building something? It's a really hard thing to do, to escape that rat race. Yeah.
Yes, correct. You hit the nail on the head there. And with Churros has been great because, you've given me the creative freedom to do whatever comes to mind. And, we went through a phase where I would bring the musical element into this, which I was happy to see one or two of our listeners kind of ask me about it and wanting us to bring it back. And I want to do that. Definitely. It's something that I enjoyed a lot. I think it brought something fun and different, and certainly something that we could maybe expand on. But you got to have the time. At the time it was in the summer, there's less things happening. Obviously, it's off season, so it was easier to do. It's a matter of being consistent, matter of having the time. And again, to go back to what you were saying and just backing off of that. Piggybacking. Backing.
Yeah, you don't beg the penny, you back the piggy.
I'm clueless when it comes to these things. So it's so hard with the family, with a full-time job, with the stresses of life, admin, then other things come into the equation. I have a teaching job. I host events from time to time, and there's obviously the pod, this pod, which is twice a week. And it's at the end of the day, like you said, just time is so limited, and you feel like you need to crunch all this creative energy or ideas into this little span of time. And it's usually like it's lights out for me. I'm exhausted at the end of the day. By the time my kids are in bed, which is like 9:30, it's they're asleep as of 9:45. That's when I have time for me. I'm dead. I'm tired.
Can I tell you
please, anything.
Like 3 to 4 things that really helped me?
Yes.
Because the whole settling thing, eventually you have to do, and you have to be selfless about it because you have family. I have, maybe it's a controversial opinion, but anyways, it worked for me. So I think it helps a lot of people. I think for me, like, most of mental health problems can be eliminated by simple things like lifting weights, eliminating processed food, and just improving sleep. And then the fourth thing is really reconnecting with kids. Like, try to make it a point every day to just go out with your kids in nature and like connect with them. And like that really, I feel like when you do that, it makes it puts into perspective how the settling part of it is totally worth it. You know, being out with the kids, connecting with them, like for me, like all the problems go away just by those simple things.
I
That's me.
100% agree. And in that sense, I'm super happy to be a lot more present in my kids' life in early years in particular than, for example, my father was. My dad was an extremely hard worker, but it meant he sacrificed family time, in particular with me. I'm the youngest one, so my sisters got to see more of him. But when it was, time for me, when I came around, it was either working all nights. He was a doctor and had many night shifts in the hospitals. And later it was trips. He was just always gone on, 3 weeks of the month. He would be gone traveling. So I would rarely see him. My father and we didn't really start to establish much of a relationship until I was in my 20s. And I have nothing but love, and we're very close now. But at the time, it was certainly something that I was missing. But anyway, I digress. That all this to say that I'm happy to be able to that I force myself to spend time with my kids. Obviously, as well, given the industry that we're in, Kiyan, it means that we work a lot on weekends. It certainly has meant that as well. Over these 6 years since I got into this, that I've had to sacrifice weekends. It's great now that Barca is eliminated out of the European competitions, because it means that I get to work from Monday to Friday, because the show that I present, we present those on the days where it's not game days. So luckily, there's a plus side to being eliminated from Europa League, and that means that I have the entire weekend to be with the fam. But it doesn't really take away or And your advice, I think, is sound advice. I don't see the controversy in it. You kind of set it up.
No, but just because some people get offended that you can possibly help, you can possibly solve mental health issues with these simple things like lifting weights and eating clean.
Yeah.
For
sure.
This is but like a lot of people are like, no, this, that's not how you can treat depression necessarily. Like, trust me, it exists. You get people angry.
Oh
about
yeah.
this. But
Yeah,
I
definitely.
like
I think
one thing that I firmly believe in, and I think I kind of believed it a few years ago, but I really, really believe it now, is that what you eat completely changes your mood. Like it's the difference between, binging on pizza and junk every day than actually nourishing your body and getting your vitamins, minerals in, and making sure you're eating clean, and like things that like our ancestors wouldn't eat, like, processed cheese or these weird oils and corn syrup. Like that totally will change your mood. I firmly believe that. And I've noticed it with myself too.
Right. But I feel like that's a different conversation, as opposed to, trying to like maximizing your needs and feeling your fulfillment and your potential and skills.
I agree,
what I mean?
but what I'm saying is that it's completely related, because it affects your decision making, and it makes you think clearer to be able to solve those other parts of your life.
Oh,
you know what I'm
I
saying?
see. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and yeah, I do. I get workouts regularly, and I try to at least have a minimum of 3 workouts a week. And that's like another added stress, because it's sort of like in the morning, wake up 7 a.m. bam, it's breakfast time, get the kids ready. So I'll do all those morning chores while my wife gets ready. Then she sends them off to school. Then I have this window of opportunity of like an hour, like 50 minutes, where I'm like, okay, bam, 35-minute workout session before work, shower, get my lunch, get my shit ready, go to work, do all the,
Yeah.
So it's and everybody, we're all the same. We're all in this fucking rat race trying to make it the best of our time on this planet. And I just feel like, yeah, I'm kind of getting into a daily funk, I guess you could call it, where I feel
Groundhog
like,
Day.
hey,
Every day's
Groundhog Day.
Wake up.
Yeah. And I'm like, is this it? Is this going to be me until I'm 60 something? Is this the end of or will this be the remainder of my professional career? And that's where I'm starting to ask myself some serious questions.
For sure. Yeah. That's totally something that I think a lot of people will fall into, and it's a tough place to escape. But you and I should talk off air about this a little bit more. I have some other thoughts on it. Um,
Great. You can tell it's international break. It's like no football. We're lost. We're
well,
lost.
there is football. It's
Right.
just depending on how interested you are in international football. Like I can tell you, like I took a bunch of notes from Spain, Norway.
Great.
I can give you some thoughts on Spain and the new era under De La Fuentes.
Yeah. Let me ask you that. Can I set you up with a question?
Yeah, do it.
So he said that he doesn't believe in the false nine position. Like he's like, for me, that doesn't exist.
Mm,
It was one of the quotes.
yeah.
I think, and I say I think because I'm not 100% sure, but Cules took issue with that, seeing as the false nine was sort of, Pep's invention and made that position great under Leo Messi. To then for somebody to say that it doesn't exist, or I don't know, I might be misquoting. I don't know if he said I don't believe in it, which he's in his own right. Obviously, he has his own way of philosophy, his own way of playing. But yeah, what did you make of that? And I guess how do you see the evolution? Because I heard the pregame the press conference with the Scottish coach, and he talked about Spain is still playing the same style of play. They still have the same system. They've been doing this for years. Yada yada. It doesn't change over time with just one, or in such a short time with one coach. So I'm kind of left thinking like, well, what is it? Are we seeing a revolution in the Spain national side, or is it still the same?
I'm just trying to find the quote, but I just can't find it easily for whatever reason. But I guess my take on this is, I think the ideal thing is that you don't have only one belief and way of thinking, right? Because you have to cater to your strengths. For example, like if I have Erling Haaland in my team, of course I don't care about false nine. I care about just having him on the field. If I have David Villa or Fernando Torres, like, just relating this to the Spanish national team, I don't care about false nine. I care about just having someone who can bag the goals and can do other things and link up with the rest of the team. So with regards to this, and I can't find the quote. So if you find it, let me know. But
okay, let me check. Yeah.
I'll just talk about, like, for example, Spain versus Norway. Morata started up front. Obviously, he's not a false nine. And then Joselu came in, who I don't know would fit that criteria either. But I was really impressed with Morata in this game. I liked his pressing. I liked his hold-up play a lot. He was defending deep when needed to. He was doing a lot of defensive work and also clearing a lot of Spain's defensive set pieces. So in a vacuum, I liked his performance. But I guess, where do you take issue with this? Do you take issue with the philosophy of not having a false nine, or do you take issue with, maybe some players are missing, because who is the Spain false nine that you'd be worried about demoting in this situation?
No, look, it's not a question of, well, who would it be? It's more of like, and again, this is always the danger when only reading headlines or only going based on what you quickly glance over on Twitter. But it was more of like, is this an indirect shot at Luis Enrique? Is this, and I have the quote here.
Okay.
He says, yo no hablaré de falso nueve o falso delantero. So he's literally saying, I will not speak about the false nine or the false forward position. Sorry, the video is not playing automatically. Again, this is just a headline of this interview. I would have to read it or hear it in its full context in its entirety to really kind of understand what he's saying. But I guess it was interpreted by many culés as kind of like a shot at Luis Enrique or at Pep or at the Barca style of playing.
Well, you know what?
And to answer your question as well, who could I imagine? Well, like maybe like a Iago Aspas. I think could fit the bill.
Yeah, I mean, but like I don't think these players like there's you're basically speaking about just a versatile forward who can play in a couple different roles, and is also if he plays striker, he can drop deep and do link up stuff. Um, which I don't. I would be shocked if De La Fuentes against, and he would be adamant that I have to have a number 9 striker in the team. But it is great to have Cules finally mad at Spain about something and not Madridistas. It's great. Now you guys know how we feel getting annoyed with the national team manager for something that we don't like. The performance itself, it's great that Spain won that game relatively comfortably, although I don't know if that was that comfortable. I do think that this could have been a different conversation had Holland been playing. Norway had periods of this game where they pinned Spain in the second half, and also came up with a lot of great chances. And I think had Holland been on the end of those, it could have been a completely different story, because obviously Spain's kind of big surge came late when Joselu came on, and the game state required Norway to maybe not defend as good as they wanted to. So there's that. I also like the fact that Nacho played in this game. Obviously, that was a nice personal thing that he did really deserve that. Carvajal, I worry about for Spain if that's really the best right back option. I don't know, like I know because I know Spain doesn't Spain play in a couple hours actually.
Yeah, tonight I do plan to watch that.
Do we have the
Full
starting lineup
disclosure, I
for that?
didn't watch Spain. No, I don't think so. Not yet.
Not yet. I saw that Balde is not in
Out.
this squad
No.
because he played 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that applies to anyone else who played 90 minutes, because hey man, I'd love Carvajal to stop playing football. That'd be great.
Just
Be
period.
really, I mean,
just forever.
Just for an extended period, definitely. He gave Spain problems the way he gives Real Madrid's problems, with all due respect. His crossing was great, if nothing else, against Norway. There was 2 or maybe even 3 that were just absolutely perfect balls into the box to Merino, to I forget who else, maybe Oyarzabal in the second half, and can't remember who else, but Fabian was one, yeah. But he just basically had no idea where Sorloth was for half of this game. Defending the far post was bad. He was giving the ball away. Similar problems to what he does with Real Madrid. One thing that I really want to see is Ceballos, I think, needs to start. He completely flipped the game when he came on. It was amazing. Changed the game completely. So I was really happy for him. Just some incredible stuff from him in the second half when he came off. And a little bit, some people were, I guess, surprised because of his relationship with De La Fuentes that he didn't start, but he came off the bench. So that's one thing I really would like to see more of. Yeah, new era. Understandably, the first game is not going to be lights out good, but the scoreline was great. Happy for Joselu on a unforgettable night for him.
Supposedly, they have a good relationship, Ceballos and De La Fuente.
Yeah, well, from the youth teams.
But I mean, you could see a starting 11 with Gavi and Ceballos starting. It will be interesting to see once Pedri's back, who his go-to will be. But I think for this game against Scotland, you could see a Gavi and a Ceballos playing alongside of Oyarzabal or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I could see that happen. Yeah, it's the question is, what, and it's only his second game in charge, of course. So, but who will be his first choice? Who will be his starting 11? And that midfield, as we are so used to of the Spain side, is always so highly contended and so competitive. But do you think Gavi and Ceballos are competing for the same position, or are they especially if Pedri's back?
It's a good question. I mean, Pedri is obviously starts right away. As an aside, I really, really wish one of my biggest, I guess, what ifs, like when we talk about players who we wish never got injured as much as they did, like Thiago, if he was healthy, would be so amazing to have in a team like this. Just his verticality, his ability to hold the ball. But obviously, we know he's never 100%. And
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see much of him in the De La Fuente era. But
Yeah, I don't know.
so, but on the midfield discussion, Rodri, I thought was great.
Yeah.
Based on merit, Mikel Merino was a deserved starter against Norway because he's done so well for like 2 years now at least. And a player that I thought was overlooked by Luis Enrique. Merino's really good. But I think Ceballos and Gavi can start together. I think, but I assume that there's two players who are probably undroppable. One is Rodri and the other one is Pedri. And if De La Fuentes wants to go with kind of that three central midfielders, then maybe it falls to Gavi, Ceballos, Merino. You know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Rodri seems to be his go-to over Thubimendi.
Yeah.
Which is an absolute luxury to have, of course, as a replacement, and somebody who I could see fill the boots of a Rodri, in the near future. And that's saying that. I mean, obviously, Rodri still has many games and minutes and years left in his boots, of course. But I mean, it was always kind of set up to be like this, wasn't it? Rodri was the natural replacement of Busquets in that position, and not to say that Thubimendi wouldn't do a bang up job, but I think you're right that De La Fuente seems to have taken a very strong liking to Rodri, who I would expect to start again tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it shakes up the rest of the team, and especially the way De La Fuente is apparently juggling the minutes and not giving Balde, which is like Barca fans should be just over the moon that you guys get that treatment with Balde. I again, I'm
well.
kind
I
of
mean, look, it's also respect to Gaia. I think De La Fuente is kind of right now in restoration mode, as in like trying to get out all of any bad vibes that might still be lingering from the World Cup. Obviously, Gaia, we all know what happened when he had to, whether he was forced to leave, had to leave. He definitely had an injury that was going to keep him sidelined for some time, and that allowed Balde to make his break in the first team in the World Cup and do a great job, as we are seeing consistently for Barca as well. So I think any day you choose a Balde over Gaia, you can call me biased or whatever it is. I think De La Fuente will probably agree. Having said that, he's probably trying to make amends as well and allow a Gaia to feel important and included in this squad, as he probably maybe has some sourness, bitterness, saltiness left over from the World Cup.
Yeah. That's a good point. The Gaia point. I guess the right back position is slightly more thin.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's got to be Carvajal, I guess. Because
I'd have to look at the squad again to remember who the other options are. I also think you could put Nacho at right back.
Well, he's played there.
Not. Yeah, I mean, I know it's not his favorite position. He likes to play center back the most, and he said that in one of the Spain press conferences, like before the Norway game. But you could put him at right back, and just get someone else to partner with Laporte. It's another option. But maybe I'm blanking, like who, because Carvajal played the full 90 in that game. Looking at the squad, you could put Inigo Martinez in the center back, and then you could put
Nacho on the right.
Nacho on the right. There is no other right back in the squad, is there? Where's Pedro Porro? Is he injured?
Pedro Porro. I think he is injured. I think he's gone through a long-term injury, actually.
Well, that's the obvious solution for this, but let me see when he's back. But yeah, that's just a concern. So one question to you. I think we've had this discussion before. watching that Norway game, it continues to dawn on me. And maybe it's not absolutely an urgent, disastrous thing or 100% necessary, but I do feel like they're still missing the superstar guy.
Spain's never had it.
No, never is definitely not true. Like
Superstar? Messi's
like,
a superstar.
well, Xavi and Iniesta, Villa, Iker, these
They
guys are superstars. Ramos, I would
I don't
consider.
Ramos would consider himself a superstar. I don't know if the other would. I think they are very no. I superstar. I mean, you're with my definition of superstar is sort of more of an individualistic player. I don't know if a team player, the likes of a Xavi and Iniesta, can be considered as much
It
of a
doesn't have to be an
superstar.
individualistic player. Would you consider Messi an individualistic player? No.
Well, I mean, certainly somebody that can take care of the game.
Well,
by
that's what I
himself,
mean.
you know?
But like, so for example, like if you go up against France in the Euros, if everything is going to shit, they can just Mbappe can just do something ridiculous. I don't know if Spain had that player, but like when Spain had Iniesta, I could trust Iniesta to do that. To have that moment of magic to unlock the game completely. When the season is on the line. You know what I mean? I just don't feel like
give
Spain
the deadly
have that
final
player.
pass.
Yeah.
And
that's one thing that I wonder how much will hurt them in the Euros.
But then the question is who will finish it off as well. Obviously Xavi Iniesta had a David Villa and Torres to finish off great passes and I mean a vision that is privileged. That's like nobody else. I wonder whether Morata, whether Nico Williams in particular. I mean, Nico Williams is like it's just never going to happen for him. And I say that, it pains me to say that. It truly does. Because I like his story and I like his character. And but also in the World Cup, I feel like he has so many almost moments where in the end, whether it's bad luck, whether it's a lack of talent, he just kind of lets you down and doesn't finish off chances as much. And we see that with Athletic Club as well. I mean, it's been years now. It's been years. And he never goes on a consistent goal scoring streak, even though, that's his job. He's a forward. He's a striker. And he's just not up there with like your top talents, top striker talents. And you look at the other players, I mean, the other forwards on the squad, it's like, Iago Aspas, are we going to depend on old man Aspas now? Like he's had so many miracles already for Celta, allowing them to stay afloat in the first division. I just don't see him at this stage do that for Spain to like win a major tournament. So I for me, it's more of a question like, I think the superstars are there in the making, the Pedri, Gavi, for me are superstars in the making. My question is more like who's going to finish off what they can create up front.
Yeah, and it's hit or miss with Morata. You may get a Morata brace. You may get a Morata complete opposite of a brace, whatever that is.
Right,
missing great chances. And I think that's the concern. That I actually have some trust in the Spain team, obviously in their ability to do many things. But
what's your trust level in Dani Olmo? That one is flying under my radar. I might be grossly underestimating his value for the Spanish national side moving forward.
Okay, so Olmo's a really interesting one because I feel like he is so off the radar for many people in Spain.
Yeah.
Because he just seems so far away, right? And so sometimes when you see him put the Spanish national team shirt on, you're like, oh yeah, we see this guy play now. Quite regularly with the Spanish national team, right? He's there, he's present.
Yeah.
I really like Olmo. I think he's a really, really good direct player who can put the ball in the back of the net and also play on the wings. Again, I don't necessarily see him as that guy. And quite frankly, he's not a reliable enough goal scorer. Like obviously he creates, but he's not the guy who's going to put the ball in the back of the net consistently for you. Like, that's not his game. He can't score a goal every other game. He can't do that. He can help you create stuff, and he can help you do things like defend and pass the ball around and dribble. He's a good dribbler, but he's not the guy who can put the ball in the back of the net consistently for you. So that's just my analysis of him. He's not the superstar either.
So
I think
that leaves Borja Iglesias, and I think it's a similar evaluation of what you just gave on Dani Olmo. We can apply that to Iglesias.
This is the reality with Spain. A lot of players who can do things, but not the guy who you can put the team on his back, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Unless it comes from midfield, like, you get Pedri and stuff, but Pedri can play the pass into the box, but I don't think you can put the whole thing on his shoulders and say, score the goals too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really at the mercy of Morata putting his chances away.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it, like Jose Lu going to do this brace thing off the bench every time? Skeptical. Really happy for him. Great story. So that's my analysis of Spain early on.
Dude, I'm a little bit down on this Spain team right now. I tell you what, I think they made a major mistake, big mistake, letting Luis Enrique go. Because the way I see it, I swear to God,
if Spain wins the next 5 World Cups with De La Fuente, you'll be like, I don't know, man.
I don't know. This was a mistake. No, because I'm looking at the team. I'm listening to our conversation. I'm hearing you talk. I'm getting my own impressions in there as this podcast is progressing along, and I'm kind of like, how is Luis de la Fuente gonna get the best out of this crop of players? Because from a motivational aspect, you got to have Lucho for that job. Like, I feel like Luis Enrique was somebody that was able to get this team to believe and feed into a system. You might disagree, you might argue and say, well, look at the World Cup, look at the lackluster performances that we saw there, and I think that is a valid point in the games against what was it, Germany? What were the big upsets? Japan.
Yeah.
Germany finished in a draw, I want to say. Japan finished in a draw. I don't remember the top of my head now, but I think there is an argument to say that, when it came to the urgency, the intensity that we sort of, or that I remember and characterized from Luis Enrique's team, that was missing in the Spain squad during the World Cup. With, of course, the exception of the first game that ended in an absolute bloodbath against Costa Rica, was it? I just don't know. I need to see how Luis de la Fuente thinks he's gonna motivate these players and get them to buy into his idea. You said he knows Ceballos and probably a lot of these younger players from the youth side, and that will surely help to sort of have a fluid relationship and keep the communication going and flowing. But are they going to, feed into that system that he wants to play with, whether it is a 4-3-3, whether he modifies it to 4-2-3-1? I'll have to wait and see. I'm eager to watch, the progress and the development. I'm going to be tuned in tonight to see the game against Scotland, but I think it'll be difficult. It's going to be difficult for him. There's always so much expected, right? I mean, we have very talented players, but in particular up front, I feel that's our Achilles heel. It's our soft spot at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see how. If you had a fully fit, confident Ansu Fati, he would fit this team like a glove. I think that, you talk about missing a superstar, that's probably what's missing.
I think Ansu probably had...
He can play at 9. That's his original position.
Yeah, he can play anywhere on the front three. I think with Ansu had the biggest chance out of all the guys in the last couple of years, I think, to take the superstar mantle for Spain. But for many reasons that we have discussed to death. He hasn't hit that mark yet. Injuries, form, all that stuff, confidence. Not to say he won't in the future, but he hasn't. Like the 2 years ago, Ansu was different than that's fair, right?
Yeah.
Or at least what we projected for him. I don't know. Maybe Pedro Porro is available. I don't really know because Spain just released on their Twitter account, their official Twitter account, that the locker room is ready, and they posted all the jerseys hanging from the locker room. Pedro Porro's is there.
All right.
Along with Laporte, Inigo, Morata, Borja Iglesias, Gaia, Merino. I don't know if that means he's going to play, but it feels like he's suiting up either way. So I don't really know if Pedro is actually injured, but he clearly, it's in my opinion, he would change this team's complexion. He's quite frankly better than Carvajal right now. So, yeah.
Too bad Haaland was out. Would have loved to have seen that.
For sure. You would have loved to because you just wanted Spain to get destroyed so you can...
Absolutely not. Yeah. I am not like these Madridistas that want Spain to lose. I never do.
Isn't it always usually the opposite, though? I mean, with Spain, it's usually people in Catalonia who want Spain to lose, right? I don't know if it's people.
Well, they still do. They still do. They always do. Right? Whether 90% of the players are Barca players, they still want Spain to lose. That's always been the case. They're consistent in their hate.
Do the Catalan players who play for Spain I know not every Catalonian person feels that way. Not everyone will.
This is separatist, no.
But the Catalonian players who play for Spain, has there ever been a sense of a conflict of interest? I don't know if I'm wording this properly, but
I think
I'm not gonna get in trouble for saying this, but
not with me.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
no, I mean,
when Pique got called up to Spain over and over again, was he fine? Or was he yeah? You know what I mean?
Well, Pique's been always very vocal about this, and the whole Pique controversy is completely fabricated and constructed by the Madrid media, which is one of the saddest stories of the Spanish national side, in my opinion. Pique has always said that he loves playing for the Spanish national side, that he is proud to play alongside to put on the Spanish national jersey. He's come out time and time again. He's had his kids running around with Spain jerseys on and him playing football together. So it's Pique is the complete, it's just the wrong example. I think a more accurate example would be somebody like Pep Guardiola. And I was trying to find out, or him being vocal about his true feelings during that time. I don't know if those have been expressed. I want to say they have.
What about Oleguer?
Well, and so that was the last point I was going to make. Oleguer was very open and told Luis Aragonés at the time that he'd rather not play for the Spanish national side because it goes against his values, his belief, his.
Aragonés was probably what? What's your name again? I don't have you on the list anyway, buddy.
No, Aragonés called him up.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't losing sleep over Oleguer's rejection, though.
Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. That's besides the point. I don't know the point you're trying to make.
I guess my point is, if Oleguer was really good at football, I feel like he would have been such a more controversial figure. You know what I mean? But
sure.
Because
well, somebody like Pep,
it wasn't no one really cared about what he was saying.
Yeah. Well, and from Puyol to Xavi to Gerard Piqué to Busquets to, Barca is the team that has given most players to the Spanish national side. I don't know how many of those are Catalan. I guess that will be for another podcast to go through the list and really understand the political motives or lack thereof, right? Whether they were indifferent, whether they were very, like Jordi Alba, for example. I think maybe this is a good one.
Okay.
Jordi Alba, I'm going to allow myself to put words in his mouth, would probably identify himself, right? When we're in the age of what do you identify as a Spaniard first and a Catalan second. This is complete and utter speculation. Again, I'm putting words in his mouth here. Jordi, if you're listening and you understand English and you've come so far in the pod, prove me wrong. But this is my impression of Jordi Alba that I have gotten to know from a distance, but just sort of what you gather on how he moves, his beliefs, his thoughts when he expresses himself. So,
Jordi, if you're listening, quote tweet the podcast on your account and disagree like that. So at least we get some clips.
Yeah. Now, somebody like Pep Guardiola, who's very openly Catalan, right, and has been very vocal and critical of Spain, it would be interesting to hear from him exactly, what his motivations were for playing for Spain, or not wanting to reject Spain and all that. So,
what my flashbulb memory from Pep in a Spanish national team shirt is? Spain were down.
Italy.
No, against Yugoslavia in the Euros 2000. Remember that famous comeback?
Yeah.
I was 13 at that time. Die-hard Spanish national team supporter. Now I'm like, I just support them, but I was like losing my mind, and I was like, we need a goal, and Pep was so casual with the ball at his feet, and he was like stumbling on it. I think even if you go back and look up Alfonso's goal, it probably goes far back enough to see Pep doing that. Kind of just like, and I'm like, get the ball up the field. What are you doing? And it eventually led to a goal. That's my only memory of Pep in a Spanish national team shirt.
Wow.
So I just thought I'd share that.
Okay.
There was a time
there you can see the age
when
difference.
that era. Remember when that era, the 4-4-2 double pivot, like double DM was a thing, and it was like Pep and Helguera together.
Helguera, yeah. Odd couple, that.
Why?
Madridista, Cules.
This is one. I think Helguera was one of the more underrated. One of the biggest what ifs for me. This is totally, but it's international break. Who cares? Like, one of the biggest what ifs for me is like, what if Helguera did not transition to a central defender? Because as a defensive midfielder, he was one of the best in the world. And when we had Makelele and Helguera together in a double pivot, we were awesome because we had so much balance, and we actually allowed Zidane and Figo to go up the field. But then once we lost, Helguera went back to defense, and then Makelele was gone. It was shambles after that. That was a big what if for me. We talk about Makelele, but we don't talk about Helguera. Could have been a solution there in midfield.
It's a good point. It's a very good point.
So, anything else you want to talk about?
I want to keep the pod moving. I want to bring back the music. We've reverted back to our traditional churros. Yeah, I know.
Diego, you can do the beats. You got the sick beats. You're the beat master. You're the jerk master. You can come up with something, cook up something, and
cook it up. I'll cook it up
and give us, because everyone loved the intro, and then it demonetized us, so we stopped doing it. But if you cook up something unique, which you're capable of, that's a nice flavor.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, bro.
You're gonna watch Scotland, Spain?
I am. Yeah.
Anything else? Did you see fucking Maioania get annihilated by France?
I didn't see that one. No.
Jesus Christ. I didn't watch it, but my dad was sending me text. He sent me like 3 text messages in the span of nothing. It was like less than 20 minutes. It was, I looked it up afterwards. It was the quickest 3 goals conceded that Holland ever gotten since 1919. So,
wow. Really?
100 years ago. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I just saw the stat. Did you see
Come on, it's back, baby.
Did you see the stats against Gibraltar?
The stats, no. I mean, the score, but not the stats.
No, they 3-0 was the score, obviously, but they had 50 shots, and Gibraltar had 0 shots.
Oh,
so everyone's like, "How did you only score 3 goals from 50 shots? That's crazy."
Koeman's back, baby.
I did see that, and again, I didn't watch Netherlands France, but I did see that Ruud Gullit and Van Basten were on TV heavily critical of Van Dijk after that game.
It wasn't a good game. Something's happening with Virgil, man. I don't know what's going on with Virgil. My man, Virg. It's Ake. Nathan right now is the go-to central defender. He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. I don't know if does he start every game with City? I don't know if he does, but he is in the absence of Virgil, the spiritual absence, let's say, he stepped up big time.
Yeah, Van Dijk is definitely not the player he was a few years ago.
Also injuries, huh? Yeah, it's big injuries.
I remember when there was a time when Liverpool fans were saying he's the best defender ever.
Yeah.
Like ahead of Beckenbauer, ahead of Baresi.
They should have never said that. Thanks, fucking Liverpool fans. You jinxed it. You ruined it for all of us.
Nathan Ake, along with Akanji, those are the 2 central defenders for City who have played the most minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, man. When is Patreon episode this week? Do you want to just give listeners a heads up?
Yeah, let's keep it on Thursday.
All right. Thursday, patreon.com/Churros y Tácticas. We go really raw and really deep and use your imagination of what that looks like. But it's
please
all the good stuff.
Don't use your imagination.
And a lot of inside info.
It's a family-friendly pod.
Now I'm talking about churros. It's probably actually the worst analogy. Think about churros.
You're just sticking a hole here.
All right, man. This was fun. Welcome back to you and me. And thanks, listeners, for putting up with us for a week away. But we need the mental recharge. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Diego. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Take care.
You too. Ciao, buddy.
Peace.